From beyond the boundaries of real space, past the stars and the nothing in between them, lies the Immaterium. Here, in the realm of souls, the denizens of the warp reside and plot the downfall of the mortal races. These horrors, these creatures of nightmare and despair are the demons of chaos, and are our topic for today. The Immaterium, the warp, the endless sea. Whatever you choose to call it, the warp is a mirror to our own universe. Swimming within its voids are the emotions made manifest of every living being to have ever existed or who ever will. Currents of rage or desire echo through this space like waves of light, creating cosmic storms of power. It's from this energy, this raw emotion, that the denizens of the warp are born, created from the hate, lust and secrets of those who fight in real space. Demons of the warp have come to be. Due to this unique method of creation, demons cannot enter or exist within real space at will. Their chaotic forms comprised of the stuff of the warp are anathema to the tangibility of the temporal and physical laws of the universe, their very essence being at odds with the physical space that they seek to invade. They can, however, in certain circumstances, break through the veil that divides the real from the warp, making use of tears in reality, as well as the summoning rituals of their, sometimes unknowingly so, disciples and cultists. As far as categorizing these monsters goes, we can break them down into their specific Chaos Gods flavor, as well as divide them into lesser demons, heralds, and greater demons. When we say lesser demons, I'm not saying that they aren't scary or that they're safe for a cuddle. I just mean that in terms of demonic abominations, they're on the smaller end of the scale. No one's trying to say that a bloodletter is a pushover, it's just that they are a bit smaller than a bloodthirster. So, with all that established, let's look at the 4 gods of chaos and what they bring to the party that is the Grand Legions of Chaos. Starting off with a classic, Khorne, the Lord of Battles and the Great Butcher, has a simple naming structure when it comes to his demonic forces. We've got bloodletters, and then when you pop those on top of a juggernaut, you've got yourself some blood crushers. Noticing a theme yet? When a bloodletter really proves themselves within Khorne's eyes, they might even earn a promotion up to a heraldic rank of Bloodmaster or Skullmaster, and perhaps they might even ride a blood throne of their own into battle. Now if you're there thinking, gosh, this Khorne fellow sure likes blood and skulls, you'd be right. Possibly one of the most famous war cries in any of the Warhammer settings, the forces of Khorne march into battle screaming, "Blood for the Blood God! Skulls for the Skull Throne!" This truly inventive way of labelling his warriors continues all the way up to the top, with the greater demons of Khorne being known as Bloodthirsters. The most renowned of these special brutes is Skarbrand, forever exiled from his lord's presence due to a previous betrayal. The lore behind Skarbrand's betrayal and a fair chunk of the rest of Khorne's lore is almost identical to that of Age of Sigmar, with both of them finding their source in the original Warhammer fantasy. If you want to know more about Khorne and how Skarbrand tried to deceive him, check out our video on the channel on the demons of Khorne in Sigmar after this one. For now though, we'll move on from the blood-crazed fanatics of slaughter, and we'll have a look at their polar opposite. The god of change and magic, Tzeentch, isn't the sort of god to regiment their chaotic forces. Instead, the myriad of horrible gribblies that spill out from their magic rents in reality are those that boggle the mind and change before your eyes as you attempt to behold them. In short, they are nothing less than absolute horrors. Obviously, this is lore for a tabletop wargame, so the models themselves tend not to shift and change as you try and paint them. Instead, they come in 3 varieties of misshapen and multi-limbed demons. First and the largest, standing tall well over a human's height, is the Pink Horror. Joyful and cheerful, these giggling monsters skip across the battlefield, oohing and ahhing at the various firework displays of death they unleash upon the mortals before them. As they are cut down, they split, their essence not returning to the warp, but instead taking on the form of two smaller blue horrors. Gone is the joy and laughter, replaced by a haunting wail, the two halves lamenting their previous death. Finally, each blue horror can be broken down into a pair of spiteful, hateful little brimstone horrors. From laughter, to crying, to screams of rage, even the process of killing these twisted creations is enough to turn a sane mind mad, or at the very least give them a little emotional whiplash. Amongst these horrors float flamers of Tzeentch, warped craft bodies made to house endless fire, the magical flames of Tzeentch bellowing out from their mouths, limbs, and any other holes it can find to lash out at their prey. To touch this fire is not just to become burned, the flames lick at your soul also, charring it in an attempt to mutate its bearer. Ever must the forces of Tzeentch change, and that is a gift that they will bestow upon anyone wherever possible. I think though that my favourite of the lesser demons of Tzeentch are the Screamers. Lamprey-like creatures that fly through the sky devouring any beneath them like a determined seagull snatching chips. These beasts earn a place in my heart due to their second use in Tzeentch armies. Powerful enough Tzeentch sorcerers are able to mould and shape a Screamer into a strong and stable disc shape. These creatures, now known as just discs of Tzeentch, are then stood on and ridden by these sorcerers, their twisted half-lives reduced to nothing more than a glorified power podium. I know they're definitely on the bad guy team, but still, feels bad man to be a Screamer. When it comes to the big boys under the God of Magic, none take the crown from the Lords of Change. These giant bird people are masters of the ways of the warp, capable of channeling its etheric energies, like breathing in and out. Greatest among them is the two-headed Kairos Fate Weaver. One head sees all that has passed, where the other looks to the future, whilst this allows the greater demon to see all that ever was or will ever will be. They are blind to that which is currently happening. This isn't the only quirk of this greater demon, however, as one of their heads always lies, and the other always tells the truth simultaneously. Both are equally believable, and neither gives away any secret as to the truth. In true Tzeentch fashion, this grand demon of the god of trickery and schemes possesses knowledge of the past and future history, but has no practical way to impart this knowledge. He now sits at the feet of his master. 9 times 9 Lords of Change sit around him, tasked with scribing down all that he mutters, hoping to glean some forbidden knowledge for their chaotic master. Speaking of sitting at the feet of a chaos god, there's one out of the 4 you'd never want to be that close to. Nurgle, the beloved grandfather of disease and decay, is a nurturing soul. It's just a shame that those that they nurture are crazy, gibbering demons of sickness and entropy. However, if you were to ask me which of the 4 Chaos Gods demons were having the most fun, my answer would always be Nurgle. Seriously, the only time I've not seen one dancing about having a lark was right after Typhus had yelled at it and called it pathetic. Real party pooper, that guy. At the tippity top of the hierarchy, you've got the greater demons that are appropriately named Great Unclean Ones. These pus-ridden gargants of a demon are so disgusting that they're in fact the one that I don't own a model for out of the big 4. If you think the model is gross, imagine facing off against these towering hulks of muscle, fat and bile. Moving swiftly on to the foot soldiers of Nurgle, the Plague Bearers aren't even that much better looking. As you can imagine from the god of disease and decay, his demons and followers aren't exactly the type you'd want to cuddle. They, however, would happily embrace you, relishing the opportunity to share with you their latest illness or infection, never being so selfish as to keep that rash to themselves. My top 3 honourable mentions for weirdly kind of fun amongst the ranks of Nurgle demons are: number 3, the awesome giant snail-riding horticulous Slimux. I mean, just look at this little guy hungry for a snack. Then we've got Sloppity Bilepiper, who's just the happiest damn demon I've ever had the misfortune to look upon. And finally, Ranking number 1 at the top of all demons of Nurgle for me are the classic little scamps that are the Nurglings. Truly taking to heart the concept of quantity over quality, these little guys might not be the biggest, but by Jove, they're determined to be the best. Eventually. They must be doing something right though, with Games Workshop going as far as to make Nurgling plushies, for when you just want to give a demon a cuddle without it, ripping your face off. Funny we should mention having your face ripped off, as our final god of the evening is the most likely to have their demonic forces flay their captives. Enter Slaanesh, the god of excess and the master in all things. A relatively young chaos god as these things go, Slaanesh was brought about by the great fall of the Eldar. We'll cover Slaanesh and their birth in a future video, but for now, we're going to try and hit their main points and give their legion of demons a time to shine. With a similar structure to Khorne, the demonettes of Slaanesh are the foot troops of the legion. Where the bloodletters charge headlong into slaughter, however, the demons of Slaanesh dance gracefully across the battlefield, stepping to an unheard blade song that guides their movements towards a perfectly executed death. Each seeks not a skull for their master's throne, but instead to prove their excellence in their hard-worked craft. They are each duelists, swordsmen and fighters of great skill, and oh boy do they want you to die knowing it. Some stride across the battlefield upon legged, eel-like mounts known as Seekers, rushing towards their prey ahead of the main force. Others still lash these Seekers to grand spiked chariots, smashing through enemy lines to impale mortals upon their warp-woven steel blades. To face off against the forces of Slaanesh is to partake in a ballet of blades, one where you've missed every rehearsal. Add into this the might of the Keeper of Secrets, Slaanesh's greater demons. You've got a force that strikes hard and fast coming for you. Of course, these demons aren't unbeatable. Whilst their forms can often change and adapt to take more firepower than you'd expect to take one down, the Grey Knights offer up a grand example of how to take down a demon, whatever flavour of chaos they happen to be. You grab them, you hold them in place, and you run them through with your blade. Or, crush them to pulp with a large hammer, whatever floats your boat. The use of psychic powers can also banish them, although as many psykers are wary of demonic possession in the first place, this can often be a peril to those who attempt it if not properly trained. All in all, whether they scream for blood, pain, or just because they fancy a good scream, the chaotic forces of the demons are best handled like most threats in the galaxy, the blunt end of a right large hammer. These demons are insidious, sneaky creatures, and we'll see as we explore the major events of the 40k timeline, just how long they've had their fingers in all of the pies. For now though, we'll be locking these demons away back into the warp until they next break free and take over the channel. If you've enjoyed chatting about the Demons of Chaos, consider liking the video, and if you want us to dive deeper into a particular god or the forces of chaos undivided, let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.